Let's take on the next two problems. Once again, we notice we can do that little nifty trick we learned to get the a and b here and also the ABC here. But because this has no real roots, c and d and e here will also be a different problem that we'll have to take on. But like we learned last time, we can do just match the coefficients. We don't have to choose values of x and make a system of equations. There's already a system of equations there we can use, which is easier to use. Anyway, let's just jump in and get our a. Remember, to get a, that the x is 0, we cover the x, and we put a x equals 0 into the system, right? We put x equals 0 into the system, covering x, so we're gonna get minus 3. It's not really good 3. Minus 3 over, well, that'll be minus 1, and that'll be 1. So the minuses will cancel each other, and we'll get a equals 3. Same thing with b. We're going to put in x minus, we need x equals 1. But we're going to cover that guy. We put in x equals 1, we'll get b. We'll put in x equals 1, we're going to get 6 plus 2 plus 1 minus 3 over. Remember, we've got that middle factor covered, so we're going to have a 1 on the outside. 1 plus 1 plus 1, that's a 3. So we've got 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 minus 3 is 6. 6 divided by 3 equals 2. B equals 2, right? Now, for the cx minus d, we can't do that little trick because there's no real roots. So we have no choice. We got to do like we did last time. Multiply both sides of this equation by the denominator. Now, of course, on the left side, this will all cancel. And then all we'll have over here is this guy is now equal to this thing times these three factors. But of course, you can see the x's will cancel. And we know a is 3, so we're just going to have a 3x minus 1, x squared plus x plus 1. B is a 2, so we're going to put a 2 here for b. The x minus 1 will cancel, but there's an x there, and we'll have x squared plus x plus 1. The last term will be plus cx minus d. We don't know those values yet. That term will cancel, but we need an x times an x minus 1. Let's just put them together, because that's just going to be x squared minus x, right? It's going to be x squared minus x, right? Because it's going to be x times this x minus 1. Okay. Now, we're going to do that. We're going to learn. We don't need to set up a system of equations. Like I said, I chose these numbers, these values on purpose. So you couldn't use 0. You couldn't use 1. Or even minus 1. Yeah, maybe minus 1 you can. No, even minus 1 you couldn't use, right? So don't have. The good news is you don't have to. So let's focus on. Let's get the c first. Let's get our c first. Well, what do we notice here? We notice that we got a cx times this x squared over here, right? So we're gonna have cx times x cubed. That's going to give us a cx cubed on the right side. But remember, this is an equation, right? So all the x cubes over there better match up with all the x cubes over here. So over there, we got a 6x cubed. So that's nice to know. Now over here, what do we got, an x cubed? Yes, we do. We got 3 times x squared. That'll be a 3x cubed. Any other x cubes? No. Similar here, 2x times x squared, that's plus 2x squared. Right? Any other x cubes? No. And I think you can clearly see 6, 3, 2. Obviously, c equals 1, right? C equals 1. Now, we're going to do the same thing for d. We're going to do the same thing for d. Let's look at d. So d, I think it would be easier if we looked at, say, when d multiplies that term, that guy there, it'll be minus x. So it's going to be cx minus, that should be a plus, excuse me. That should be a plus cx plus d, right? Cx plus d. Excuse me, that's a little boo-boo. That's not going to influence anything we've done so far, but cx plus d. So the cx plus d, when we multiply d times that, we're going to get on the right side, we're going to have a minus dx. So once again, we're going to look at all the corresponding terms. Over here, we have an x, right? We have an x, only just x. So now we want to make sure that we get out all the x's. So there's that dx, that minus dx here. No other x terms. What about here? Well, we got 3 times x times 1. That's definitely a 3x, right? That's 3x right there, 3x times 1. Aha, but we've also got 3 times minus 1 times x. That's a minus 3x. Those guys actually cancel each other. What about here? Any x terms? Yes, 2x plus times 1 gives us plus 2x. So as you can see, excuse me, These two guys killed each other. And just look at the coefficients. So we got 1 equals 2 minus d. Well, obviously d equals 1, correct? You can check that if you want. You want to pause, check it. But I'm certain that it's good. It's all there. So we're done with that guy. Okay, we're done with that one. Maybe I'll just erase because, well, yeah, we're done with that one. Just so we don't get confused. Let's get it all erased. Remember, if you're just joining, if you didn't see the last video, remember we're only doing partial fractions where the degree of the numerator is less than the degree of the denominator. If that's not true, you got to do long division, which is probably another video. Once again, we can do that little nifty trick. If you're not sure about the nifty trick, go watch the first video. X is 0, cover the x. So your A will be, when we put x equals 0, all that is going to be minus 2. That'll be, so the x is covered, so we're going to have a 1. We're going to have a minus 1 and a 1. The minuses and the minuses kill each other. We'll get A equals 2. Same thing with the B. Now B, we're going to put in minus 1 this time, so be careful. We're going to put in a minus 1. So we cover x plus 1. We're going to put a minus 1 on top. That equals 6. That's now minus. That's going to become plus 2, minus 4, plus 2, all divided. Remember, we're putting in minus 1 with that covered. We're going to have a minus 1 here. Minus 1 times minus 1, that's a minus 2 there. Remember, that guy's covered. And minus 1 squared is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. So we got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 minus 4 is 8. 8 over the 2 minuses kill each other. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 8 over 4, which equals 2. So B equals, did I get that right? 6, 7, 8, hold on. 6, let me get this correct. Hold on. We're putting in minus 1, right? We're putting in minus 1. So 6 plus 2 minus 4. Aha, excuse me, it's a minus 2 here, it's a minus 2, it's minus, my bad. So it's going to be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 minus 6 is 4, 4 over 4 equals 1. Sorry, B equals 1. My apologies for the little boo-boo. Okay, we're going to go on now, do C. We're going to do C in the same fashion. It'll be easy this time, no minuses, confuse me. So we're going to put x equals 1. Remember, we cover that up. We're going to put x equals 1 in there, so we're going to get a 6 minus 2 plus 4 minus 2 over, remember, we got that guy covered. We're putting in 1, so it's going to be 1 in for the first one. X plus 1 is 2. That's covered. X squared is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, so we're going to divide by 4, just like before. So it's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 minus 4 is 8. 8 over 4 equals 2, right? C equals 2. Very good. Okay. Now, just like the one we just did, number 3, we're going to just multiply everything by this denominator and then match up the coefficients. But in a second, I'm going to show you another cool way to do this one when you have a sum of squares. So I'll show you 2 ways to do it. And depending on the type of problem you have, you may want to do matching up the coefficients, or you may want to sub in an imaginary number. Let's just multiply everything by what's on the left-hand side here in the denominator. So of course everything will cancel on the bottom, and we're just left with this guy equals what? Well, I'm going to put my 2 in now. Equals a 2. The x is going to cancel. Now I'm going to save some time. If you can do any algebra in your head, it's going to help save time, so you don't have to do some tedious calculations later on. I know that when I multiply everything here by that first a over x, the x's will cancel. But it leaves x plus 1 times x minus 1. Hey, that's x squared minus 1. That's a difference of squares. And look at that. I'm multiplying by x squared plus 1. So I know what that is. That's just x to the 4th minus 1. This is just going to be x to the 4th minus 1. And I multiply the b, so the b is 1, so I'm going to have it's a 1, I'll put my 1 there for the b. The x plus 1 will cancel, and I'm going to have x times x minus 1. I'm going to save some time, I'm going to do a bit of algebra, that's x squared minus x. But don't forget, you got to multiply by that x squared plus 1 as well as there. Now the third one is c. C is 2. Now it's x minus 1, but I'm going to have these two guys, so I'm going to save some time and say that's going to be x squared plus x, similar to that one, but that was a minus, this is a plus. And of course, don't forget to put that in, x squared plus 1 is there. And of course, the last term plus dx plus e. And of course, that x plus squared, and then you're just left with that. Now, x times x plus 1, x minus 1, well, that's just x squared minus 1 times by x, right? These three guys multiply, so that's going to be x cubed minus x. If you can do these little bit of algebra calculations in your head, it'll save some time. And remember, what the goal is to shave seconds off your calculations so you can move on to the next question. All right, now, we got to get d and e, so let's look at d. I know that when dx multiplies this x cubed, I'm going to have a dx to the fourth. I'm going to have a dx to the fourth. Now, what's on the other side of that equation? What's my other x to the fourth? That's a 6x to the fourth, okay? I got an x to the fourth right here. That's a 2. That's a 2x to the fourth, right? X to the fourth, yes. X squared times x squared, that's another x to the fourth, right? Same thing here. X squared, that's a x squared, x to the fourth, but a 2. So I got 2x to the fourth. Did I miss any? No, there's no more in here. There's no more here, right? X cubed now? No. I think that's it. So now we look at the coefficients. So you say 6 equals 2 plus 1 plus 2 plus d. 2, 4, 5. So obviously d is equal to 1, right? D equals to 1. Isn't that nice? No system of equations. Well, we're just matching up the coefficients. Okay, let's erase that because let's move on now. We got to get our e. Okay, so we can look at e times x cubed if we want, or we can look at e times x. I think I'll just go with, say, e times minus x. E times minus x here. I know on the right side it's going to be minus e to the x. So I'm only looking at the x terms now. Over here, what's my x term? It's a 4x. Okay, so we're looking for all x terms only. Nothing here. That's the x to the fourth. X here term. Yes, we see one here. Minus x times 1. That's going to be a minus x. Don't forget the equals here. That's going to be a minus x, right? No other ones because we just want only x. What about here? Yes, 2 times x times 1. 2x, you're going to have a plus 2x. Any other x terms in here? No. Any other x terms in here? I think that's it, right? I think we got it. I think so. Looking at the coefficients, 4 equals negative 1 plus 2 minus e. So 2 minus 1 is 1, right? That's 1. Subtract 1, so we get 2. So we get 4 equals 2 minus 1 is 1 minus e. So we get 3 equals negative e, so e equals negative 3.